Welcome back. In this demonstration, I'm going to show you how to make the lid for our sugar jar and lid project. You should already have your sugar jar made. You should have the inside of your gallery measured with your calipers, and you'll need one little ball of clay that's a little less than a ½ pound. All right, you should have your sugar jar sitting on your board already, and that can be sitting at your workstation. I'm going to move that out of the way, and I'm going to use this little lump of clay here to make the lid. So put it in the center just like you would when you're centering a large ball of clay, and let's get started. Okay, so you're going to take this and you're going to center this little lump of clay. Make sure you seal it to the wheel head and that you center it well. Now, because this clay is so small, it's kind of hard to show you the centering of it. Some of you might want to try using your fingers as your outside hand to center it, because your hands are going to be too big to center that. So get it centered, and there's center. Now, to make your lid, instead of opening in the center, what you're going to do is you're just going to press down on the edge here and press that clay straight down. You're going to need water on there, and you're just going to press straight down until you're about 1/4 inch off the wheel head. Okay, now this middle part's the knob. So if you just gently pinch this, it'll start to rise up. And you can kind of shape it however you want. Okay, maybe you want it a little bit more squat, maybe you want it a bit thinner. But this is what people are going to be using to lift the lid. So you want to make sure that it's nice and even and pleasant to hold on to. Okay? And you can shape that just by gently squeezing. Okay? Now, you're going to take your finger or thumb or whatever and just flatten this clay out. You want to make it nice and flat. Okay, now normally I like to make inset lids, but that's going to be a different project. Okay, now that you've got this nice lid flattened out, you've got a nice little knob on it, take your calipers and you're just going to gently center it. Make sure it's not off center, but center it so the knob is in the center. Then lead with the right like that to show you how big you should have your lid. Now that you've got that done, I don't have any fancy tools in here, so I don't have a bunch of fancy like undercut items that you can use. So just take a pin tool, line it up with that line that you've already got, and press straight down until you hear the wheel head. You can hear that little scratch in the video. Take that and then just cut this little donut away and peel it off. Okay, a lot of potters will have a special tool that they use for that just kind of nicely slices the whole thing off. I don't have one of those in here because I just don't have enough of them. So once you get that done, double check that it's the right size. Always check. It's a little bit short. I cut it a little bit too thin. So I'm just going to turn my wheel back on. Press just a little bit more down. Compress the edges so that they're not lumpy. I'm going to use one of the modeling tools to just undercut it, not like the mouse eats the cheese sort of situation. I'm going to trim, or not trim, sorry, clean up the edges with my sponge. Double check that it's the right size. A little bit too skinny, so I'm going to turn it back on and flatten it just a little bit more. And that should be right. Good, that's right. So that's what you're going to do. You're going to use that calipers to measure. Now, to get your lid off, they're flat, so it's a little bit tricky. That's why we undercut it just a bit. And what you can do is take your water, slide your wire tool underneath, And normally I would slide towards me, but just for the purpose of the video, I'm going to slide away from me. And you can get that water underneath, slide it to the edge of your wheel, get your fingers underneath it, and then lift it off and try not to damage that edge. Now, set it onto your wooden board like that. Then, before you're done, if you want to make a spoon hole, you don't have to, but if you want to, this is how you're going to do it. You can take your pin tool and point it towards the center of the knob, and then move over a little bit and point it towards the center of the knob. So you're going to turn out with a little bit more like a trapezoid shape. Take those and just press straight down to make the trapezoid shape go all the way through. And then take your pin tool and you're just going to curve it around like that. Okay, so I'm going to press down here now. Just now that I've drawn that shape, I'm going to press down and take that little lump out. Now it's got some little nubbins on there. I would suggest cleaning those up later once your clay is dried a little bit. And then if you damaged like the roundness of it, just kind of flatten those back out. Okay, now that is how you're going to finish your sugar jar and lid project for Ceramics 1. Thanks for joining me.